Nugget's just peeping out of the side. Really loved Flawless. I love Flawless by Elsie Silver. However, before this book is released. Ma'am, why can't you let me film? Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. For those of you that are new here, my name is Rochelle. I read a lot of different types of books, and I also have a disability, which, speaking of disabilities, just a reminder, July is Disability Pride Month, so best be ready to hear some disability recs from me in the near future. But I was hoping to get either a reading wrap up for the month of June or getting our July version of Defend the TBR worked on. However, I was in a bit of a reading slump for the month of June, and I just have not gotten my reading done quite yet. So I am working to get that done as quick as I can so I can get everything else filmed and uploaded for y'all. So instead, what we're gonna do is another book haul. I know we just did a book haul, but I've gotten so much publisher book mail that honestly, maybe this will be easier to do in smaller chunks instead of waiting and having so many boxes pile up in my office where I kind of trip around them. And it will be a lot easier to figure out which books I need to prioritize, because some of them are always ARCs and then some of them are just books that have already released and they're sending them out to people in their programs. So this will help me get a better wraparound and organize things, because I feel like I am currently just drowning in books at the moment, and it does not help when you're really trying to get out of a reading slump, which was what I had to deal with for most of June. And it's not just book mail that we have, but I also have books that I have purchased as well. It's not a huge amount, but it's enough that it would work for doing a nice little book haul. So with that being said, I think we're gonna get right into it and go through a lot of the books that I have for y'all. So starting with the books that I have purchased myself with my own money, I have some from Barnes & Noble. And a few of them you might have an idea or already know what books I might have purchased from there. And one of them is Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. I think I might have had this on an anticipated release video. I'm not quite sure, but I did have this on a list, at least in my brain, of books that I was really excited for and wanted to read. And this one has lesbian vampires in it, which is perfect for Pride Month if you've already read it, unlike me, who probably will read this one of the other months of the year, which, you know, just because a month is like Pride Month or Disability Pride Month, things like that, doesn't mean that you should only read these books during that specific month. You can read it any time of the year. Just a disclaimer. But this one is a signed version, which I honestly didn't realize when I went and purchased it. So that is really exciting. I always love when I get something unexpected like that in a book I purchase. But just so that you get a little bit of some information about it, I usually always read like the first couple of sentences in a blurb, just so that it can pique some intrigue, especially if you want to go and check out more about a book. So it says, this is a story about hunger. 1532, Santo Domingo de la Calzada, a young girl grows up wild and wily. Her beauty is only outmatched by her dreams of escape, but Maria knows she can only ever be a prize or a pawn in the games played by men. When an alluring stranger offers an alternative path, Maria makes a desperate choice. She vows to have no regrets. This is a story about love. 1827, London. A young woman lives an idyllic but cloistered life on her family's estate until a moment of forbidden intimacy sees her shipped off to London. Charlotte's tender heart and seemingly impossible wishes are swept away by an invitation from a beautiful widow, but the price of freedom is higher than she could have imagined. This is a story about rage. I've heard so many people talk about how much they loved this book. I think even on Threads, there was an author that I follow where they said they were listening to this audiobook while they were going for a walk, and it was so good that they couldn't stop walking until they finished the book. And I forgot how many steps. I want to say 30,000, but I could be wrong. All I know is that they definitely reached their 10,000 step requirement for the day. And so if that's anything that convinced me that I should read this book, I don't know what to tell you. Then we have Snow Globe by Soo Park. This is the second book in the series, so I won't be reading a blurb on this. I read the first book, I believe, last year, and I loved it so much. And I knew that the second one was coming out. I believe it released in May. So I was like, ooh, okay, I need to have it on my radar so I can hopefully pick it up and read it. And I think someone has told me in the past that they'd love to see me do a video about book series that I'm in the middle of that I need to finish. This will be one of them since it is a duology, so that makes it fairly easy to finish, right? But anyway, I'm very excited to go and read this book as well because the cliffhanger of the first one was just wild. Then our last book from Barnes & Noble was Anathema by Carrie Lake. This one, Wicked Reading, I believe read recently in one of her latest vlogs. And this book has always been on my radar. I just loved how eerie and creepy the cover looked. But I believe this was like something she described as her new personality for a book. And I was like, all right, I see this. I definitely want to read it maybe sooner than I had anticipated. And I believe this author has been picked up by a publisher, but I don't remember entirely if they do plan on changing the cover of the book. But either way, you know me, I need to get like the indie version just if anything to have a trophy of it on my bookshelf. But this one says, there are whispers about what lurks in Witch Snow, the forest where sinners go to die. The villagers call it the Eating Woods because what's taken is never given back. Only those who've lost their senses would dare to go near it, or the banished. Mavis Ronwick knows better than to breach the misty labyrinth of trees, but a tragic turn of events compels her beyond the archway of bones, to a boundary no mortal has crossed before, one that cloaks a dark and fantastical world that's as dangerous as it is alluring. This is kind of a bit of a chunky read, but I am very excited to finally have the book in my hands. I don't know if I'm gonna pick it up in the month of July, but probably more so like during the fall season, because I feel like the cover just is giving me a lot of those vibes, and I love to immerse myself in books that feel perfect for a season. Then moving on to a book that I got unfortunately from Amazon. So at the beginning of the month, I did have to go back to my hometown to go for a funeral. And then when I came back, I got an awful cold. Even though we ended up going and driving, I did not fly from Colorado to South Dakota. I rode with my parents. I still ended up getting an awful cold, and with me, I have a really weak immune system, especially after getting COVID a few years ago. So I got asthma, anemia, and who knows if anything else, knock on wood, popped up from that. But because of how sick I was, a lot of the symptoms I had reminded me of the symptoms that I had when I got COVID. So I was incredibly worried, and I needed to get tests as soon as possible. And so just avoiding Charles or I having to leave the house, especially if I did have COVID, I didn't want to go and do any of those risks. So I ended up going and ordering some COVID tests on Amazon because the ones we had all expired. And I was trying to get as quick of shipping as possible. So I added one book to my order, which was Partials by Dan Wells. And this is book 1. I remember I kind of had this on my radar, but this one doesn't have too much information on it. Okay, so with the back it says, when our ancestors were attacked by Pearl Harbor, they called it a day that would live in infamy. The day the Partials attacked us with the RM virus will not live in anything because there will be none of us left to remember it. So the reason I kind of giggled was just like, I ordered COVID tests and then this book talks about a virus. Whew. There is a synopsis on the front page, so it says the human race is all but extinct after a war with partials. Engineered organic beings identical to humans have decimated the population, reduced to only tens of thousands by RM, a weaponized virus to which only a fraction of humanity is immune. The survivors in North America have huddled together on Long Island, while the partials have mysteriously retreated. The threat of the partials is still imminent, but worse, no baby has been born immune to RM in more than a decade. Our time is running out. So this is very dystopian, very apocalyptic, which is something I thoroughly enjoy reading, but also it's so ironic that it talks about a virus with this book, when at the time when I ordered it, I was very concerned I had COVID for the second time. I did not, by the way. My test did turn out negative, which was nice, but I still had a horrid cold. I dealt with this awful lingering cough, which required me to use my inhaler, which is more so an emergency inhaler, every single day just to kind of help with a lot of the wheezing and the coughing I was dealing with. But anyway, that was a little ramble regarding the backstory for this book, because I am trying my hardest to not purchase books from Amazon as well as other items unless it is something that is a necessity that I need to get as soon as possible. Next is an order I got from Pango. So just a little backstory with this purchase. Y'all know that I have entered my romance era. I have been reading on and off a couple of romance books, and I've been surprisingly enjoying it, especially with the weird reading slumps I've been in. So I've kind of decided I want to tackle more romance books. I don't necessarily know how many, but I am going to dive into it a little bit more. And whenever my brain decides to make those decisions, I tend to have to go all out. So with that being said, let me turn around these books for you. I bought them. I might have bought these books. So hear me out, hear me out, hear me out. I really loved Flawless. I love Flawless by Elsie Silver. However, I don't like the current covers of those books. I'm not a fan of them. And I know that there's these editions that everyone is scrambling over, and I bit the bullet and had to get my own editions of them. And the thing is, I found it was really difficult to find certain books. Like if you wanted to buy them singles, some of them were easier to find than others. Like Flawless, the first one, and I want to say Reckless, I'm not quite sure which one that is in the series. Those ones were almost impossible to find, and if you did find them as a single book, they were almost $200 just for the one book. So when I was looking through those and making the decision, it seemed like if I were to get books in the series, I'd need to get the series all at once because I would be saving a lot more money. So anyway, I have Flawless, Powerless, Hopeless, Heartless, and Reckless. So I will be reading those books probably at some point during the summer. I do have a lot of books that I need to get finished in the month of July, especially since it's Disability Pride Month, but I might have to sneak in a cowboy romance here and there. It's kind of a necessity now because I want to continue and know what happens, and I guess just get in the whirlwind that is Elsie Silver books. I'm a bit delayed, but I'm catching up. So if there's any other Elsie Silver books that you want me to read after getting through, I think they're the Chestnut Springs series. If there's any Elsie Silver books that you want me to read after getting through the Chestnut Springs books, please let me know down in the comments below, because I'm in my romance era, I'm in my cowboy romance era, all of those things. So yeah, so those were the books that I purchased. Now we're gonna go on to the books that were sent over to me via book mail. Okay, so first one we have here is The Serpent Called Mercy by Roanne Lau. And this one says, The Witcher meets Squid Game in this Malaysian Chinese-inspired epic fantasy novel where a debt-ridden slumdog joins an illegal monster-fighting arena for some fast coin, but quickly learns that the most dangerous beasts are outside the ring. Lithette and her friend Diesel are shackled to a life of debt and poverty that she fears they will never escape. Desperate for money, they sign up as conquistadors, arena combatants who fight sun-cursed beasts in the seedy underworld of the city. That sounds really interesting, especially when it kind of gets described as The Witcher meets Squid Games. I'm not entirely sure how to piece that together in my mind, so I'm really intrigued to go and pick this one up. This one I also got from Daw Books, which is an imprint of Astra Publishing House. So super excited for this one. Then I have Unworld by Jason Green, and this is from Knopf, Knopf. It says, 4 interconnected souls grapple with an inexplicable tragedy in Jason Green's propulsive, prophetic, and richly emotional debut novel. Anna is shattered by the violent death of her son, Alex, and tormented by the question of whether it was an accident or a suicide. Samantha is Alex's best friend and the only eyewitness to his death. She keeps returning to the cliff where she watched him either jump or fall, trying to sift through the shards. Aviva is an upload, a digital entity composed of the sense memories of a human tether. But she's emancipated, having left her human behind, set free from her source and harboring a troubling secret. She finds temporary solace in the body of Kathy, a self-destructive ex-addict turned AI professor and upload rights activist. This definitely sounds interesting. It's not too thick of a book either, so this will be an interesting book to go and pick up at some point. Next is a book that I actually got very, very lucky, and I'm so thankful to have received, and it's House of Blight by Maxim M. Martineau. So on Threads, I think I was like looking through a lot of different bookish posts and everything. I saw a post from this author saying that they had a lot of extra copies and that they were going to give away these copies to the first few people that reached out. I was a little bit hesitant because I saw a lot of other people had already responded in the comments, but I was like, you know what, let's just shoot our shot. The worst we can do is they go and say like, hey, we're so sorry, you know, they're all snatched up. But instead, I actually got a response from the author, and they said that they would send it out to me, and went and sent me DMs asking for my information. And I was so happy and surprised that I was able to get it in the mail. This is one that has also been on my radar for quite some time. And I know some people have kind of mentioned Insect Daddy with this, which I'm not quite sure what to think of, but I will tell you my interest is definitely piqued. So it says, Adira Brilwin is a threadmender. She holds a rare life-saving power that can cure disease and heal injuries in the blink of an eye. But magic always comes with a cost, and saving anyone sacrifices a sliver of her own life. She's always kept her abilities hidden until the powerful Fernglove family discovers her secret. The Ferngloves are charming and beautiful, possess powerful magic, and don't take no for an answer, especially Orin, the head of these ruling elites. When Adira's brothers unexpectedly contract blight, an incurable virus killing people throughout the town, and an illness too strong for her to heal them both, Orin offers to help. Together at his estate, they'll research a cure while Orin slows their sickness and Adira hones her magic. His kindness and honesty surprise Adira, as does her undeniable attraction to him. I'm so excited to go and read this book, and still very, very thankful that I was one of the few people picked by this author to go and receive a copy of their book. So you know I'm going to read it, and I'm going to be so excited about it. Next is a book that I received from Flatiron, and honestly, I was very surprised because I had not received any emails or anything like that from them saying that I had been picked for a book to get sent my way. But I opened up a package and I got Under a Fire Red Sky by Geraldine McCarran. I don't know if I'm saying that correct. But basically the back of the synopsis says, with World War II on their doorstep, the children of Greenwich, England are being evacuated. But on the train meant to take them to safety, 4 of them decide they aren't ready to leave home. They climb out the carriage window just in time, forging an unlikely friendship. With their school taken over by the fire service, they spend their days trying to be useful. Lawrence is building a secret machine. Jemmy searches bombed out homes for things of value, only to find an adorable mutt she can't even give away. Franklin wants to join the fire service, even if it means lying about his age. Olive looks after her father, haunted by the deaths of his fellow firemen. This one also comes out November 2025. I'm definitely intrigued by this. I do remember going and reading a small synopsis of it when we did get the different widgets for books we could choose. So I am really curious, and I do like the image we have on the bottom, although you know, the whole premise of the story is really sad. So we'll see how this one goes. Next is a book that I got from being an elemental reader, and it is We Love You Bunny by Mona Awad. This one is released September 23rd of 2025. I just finished reading Bunny, so getting this book is perfect timing so that I can go and continue things. And just from the beginning, it says Frankenstein meets Heathers in this dazzling, hilarious, and deliciously dark follow-up to her viral sensation Bunny. Okay, so I'm not gonna read like too much on it, but I was trying to figure out if this is a sequel, a prequel, any of those things, and someone says that it is the pulse-pounding sequel, prequel, and standalone companion to her cult classic novel Bunny. Very interesting. So I'm not quite sure what exactly this book is categorized as, but like I said, I did go and read Bunny, and I will have that up on a reading vlog. I just need to read a few more books and then edit everything there, so you will get to hear about my thoughts in that book in that video, or my reading wrap-up video, whichever comes first. But I am so excited to read this one and just kind of continue on with the fever dream and confusion that Bunny left me. So we'll see how things go, but I'm very thankful to Elemental Readers for giving me this book so that I can go and just figure things out ASAP instead of kind of forgetting what happened in Bunny before this book is released. Now I have a bunch of books that I got from Atria, so starting with the first one, I have Only Between Us by Ellie K. Wilde. As I have mentioned earlier, I am trying to get more into romance books, so I am going and requesting a few more, but also doing a lot of requests for horror books as well. So this one is Brooks Atwood was a star NFL player until a massive injury forced him into early retirement, leading to a very public Bender mourning the loss of his career. 2 years later, he's ready to earn back his spot with the Rebels, who refuse to sign him unless he can prove it he fits with their family-friendly image now. But Brooks' plan to keep a low profile is upended when his chance meeting with a small-town girl goes viral, and the internet mistakes them as the newest it couple. So it definitely sounds like there's fake dating in this, which is a trope that I do tend to enjoy. I do find that I love like small town romances, enemies to lovers, and fake dating is also a fun one as well. So I'm intrigued to go and check this one out. And I forgot to mention, I have made a video that goes and talks about how I'm able to go and get ARCs and join different publisher influencer programs. So if you're ever interested or curious about those types of things, I do have a video here that I will link so you can go and check that out and learn more information if that's something you'd like to shoot your shot at for as well. Then I have The Sandy Page Bookshop by Hannah McKinnon. And this one says, sometimes second chances happen in the places we've left behind. And I love how cozy this cover looks. So it says, after her publishing career and engagement fell apart in Boston, Leah Powell has no choice but to return to her hometown. Feeling lost and discouraged, she stumbles upon a once prominent sea captain's historic home that now looks as dilapidated as she feels. Suddenly inspired, Leah decides to transform it into a bookstore and cafe she will call the Sandy Page. I love the idea of this, and it's kind of always, I think it's a similar thought that goes through a lot of bookish people's heads, but just the idea of potentially opening a bookstore and a cafe or a little cat cafe, I guess, to combine things. I don't know, that's always been something that has definitely intrigued me and I've thought about maybe at some point later in life doing. So I am interested to go and pick this one up and listen to everything. And I also did get a bookmark with this book as well. It's just a little bookmark of the cover of the book. So that will be nice. I feel like I have bookmarks, but a lot of the time I end up just using receipts to hold the spots in my books for me. So it will be nice to have more bookmarks that I can hopefully gravitate towards using instead of just using receipts. Then I have Wilderness Reform by Matt Query and Harrison Query. This was one that I was unsure if I would actually get edition of in the mail, so I was very excited when it showed up on my doorstep. This says, do they have the skills to survive, or will night be the death of them? Ben is sent to a remote reform program for troubled teens by a juvenile court judge, but when he arrives at the camp, located on the edge of the vast wilderness of northwestern Montana, he sees that there is something off about the counselors. They're too friendly and upbeat, yet Ben can tell there's an undercurrent of menace. I do really like horror camping stories, so this is one that I'm really excited to go and read, and also would be perfect for the fall as well. I think I'm already curating a list of fall books that I'd like to read, and I'm very excited for them. Then I have Don't Let Him In by Lisa Jewell, and this one was really exciting for me to get in the mail as well. It says, he's the perfect man, it's a perfect lie. Nick Radcliffe is a man of substance and good taste. He has a smile that could melt the coldest heart and a knack for putting others at ease. He's just what Nina Swan needs in her life after her husband's unexpected death. But to Nina's adult daughter, Ash, Nick seems too slick, too polished, too good to be true. Without telling her mother, Ash begins digging into Nick's past. What she finds is more than unsettling. I am so excited to read this. This kind of reminds me of, I'm trying to remember what the movie is, but it has Michelle Pfeiffer in it. What Lies Beneath, I think. It kind of gives me a little bit of those vibes for this book, so I'm very excited to check it out. And I feel like I haven't read too many thrillers lately, so it will be nice to go and pick up another one and read them soon for a change. Then I have All the Men I've Loved Again by Christine Pride, and this one says, it's 1990, TLC's No Scrubs is topping the charts, and Cora Bell has arrived at college ready to change her life. She's determined to grow out of the shy, sheltered girl who attended an all-white prep school in her all-white suburb. Cora is ready to conquer her fears and find her place in the world. What she's totally unprepared for is Lincoln, because how can you ever prepare yourself for the roller coaster of first love? Just when Cora thinks she has things figured out, a shocking tragedy sends her reeling, and a new man, Aaron, enters her life, further complicating everything. He's the only person who seems to get her in this moment of uncertainty. There's just one problem. How can she fall in love with one man when her heart belongs to another? This definitely sounds like a book that has a love triangle in it, and I do have a summer bingo sheet that I have created, and I do believe one of the spots on the bingo board has a love triangle in it. So this could be a perfect option, especially if you're participating and you haven't figured out a book that you'd like to read for that spot yet. And then last book that I have received is Kissing Girls on Shabbat by Sarah Glass. This says, growing up a member of Brooklyn's Borough Park Hasidic community, Sarah Glass knew one painful truth. What was expected of her and what she desperately wanted were impossibly opposed. Tormented by her attraction to women and trapped in a loveless arranged marriage, she ultimately rejected the confines of her religious upbringing and made the wrenching decision to walk away from the one world she knew. So this is a memoir, and I don't tend to read too many memoirs. I feel like I probably read a couple, if anything, every year. So this could be one of the few that I pick up to read this year. And it's also a perfect book for Pride Month, although we're almost done with June, being today's the 29th and tomorrow's the 30th. But as I said earlier, you can read books that are LGBTQIA plus books at any time of the year and not just for Pride Month. So this could be a perfect option for you to pick up as well. Those are all the books that I got, either book mail or books that I purchased myself. So let's go and count and see how many we have total. 20 books total. So some of them, like I said, were books I purchased myself with my own money, and then others were sent through book publishing programs that I'm a part of, and I will have my video listed down in the description below, or also at some point listed in this video. So if you are curious about anything for that, you can go and watch that video and maybe learn a few things and shoot your shot and try out to see if you can get accepted as well. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm sorry that it's another book haul video so soon after my last one, but like I said, I am working on catching up and finishing my reading for the month of June, and so I just wasn't ready to go and film my wrap up or my next Defend the TBR episode. So those should be coming soon. Maybe I'll have another video that comes live this week. We shall see. But as always, I love you all so much. Thank you for watching my videos. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, maybe subscribe, and I think the emote that you could go and leave for this video if you've made it this far and don't know what to comment is a bunny. Go and leave a bunny for the fact that we got "We Love You Bunny" in the book mail that I received. So leave a bunny down in the comments below if you've made it this far and don't know what to say. But yes, I love you all so much, and always remember that you're worthy and capable of amazing things. Bye, friends.